This is Pokemon Emerald Yet's Speed Choice, a ROM hack that can bring most of the mechanics and quality of life features to the original game, like updated abilities, the physical and special split, multiple use TMs, and the fairy typing without changing it that much. Today, I'm going to try and see how easily Beedrill can beat Pokemon Emerald with those updated mechanics. The start of the run is a bit rough, as Maze Torchic gives Beedrill some issues. It would usually be an easy fight for everyone, but due to the updated level up moveset in this game, her starter has access to a stab move, which in Torchic's case means that it gets Ember right off the bat. The problem is that the best Beedrill has to use against her is Fury Attack, which is a multi-hit move with not the best accuracy. It took a bit of time, but eventually I got a 5-hit which got her in range of being defeated by a Twin Needle. By the way, I used that move at the end because of Beedrill's ability Swarm, which boosts the damage from bug moves when below 1/3 of his HP. While I make my way to Roxanne, let's explain some of the rules for this challenge. The first is that I'll try to keep the number of battles at a bare minimum, fighting trainers only when they are mandatory. This ROM hack has a function to make trainers fight you only if you talk to them, so if you see me running past a trainer that's not necessary to fight, it's most probably because of that. The second rule is that no items will be allowed during battle, excluding held items. Finally, the obvious one is that I cannot use any other Pokemon during battle except Beedrill. I'll get some Pokemon for HMs, but they'll never be used for other purposes. Anyways, before challenging Roxanne, there's one mandatory trainer on the right of Roxborough City that has 2 Geodudes, and I wanted to challenge him not only for the experience but also to see how Beedrill would do against the gym. And Twin Needle was not doing great. I went to fight Roxanne and her first Geodude took no damage from Twin Needle, while KOing Beedrill with a single Rock Tomb. This is going to take a while, isn't it? Seeing how awful the fight went, it was very clear that I needed to get some levels on Beedrill. I looked up and the trainers that can give the most experience are the ones with 2 Geodudes inside of the gym, so I fought both of them, getting Beedrill 2 levels. With the extra bulk, Beedrill now manages to leave a Rock Tomb, so he can get an extra hit on Geodude. The problem is that Beedrill is still doing no damage to her, so even when I can hit her twice, the damage only gets her to a bit below half. Twin Needle has a chance to poison Geodude, but even with that, I don't think it's going to be enough. Let's try fighting a couple more trainers and try to get stronger. Level 12. I finally managed to get past the first Geodude. It only took getting a crit and a turn 1 poison, but with that combination, Beedrill was doing enough damage to, at last, defeat Geodude. Then the second one came out, survived that Twin Needle, and then finished off Beedrill. Yeah, I saw that coming. At least now I know that it's a 2-shot against the second Geodude. Okay, at this point, I know I'm just going to be wasting time trying each level, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight every single trainer, and whatever level I end up at, it's going to be the one I fight Roxanne at. The only thing that happened in between was that I got Rage via level up, which is going to do nothing against Roxanne, since it builds up power each time the Pokemon is hit, and since Beedrill can barely leave 1, you can see why it's such a useless move right now. The last trainer got me to level 16, and with the extra stats, Beedrill is now able to both 2-shot the Geodude while also leaving their attacks, even if it's only with 2 HP. Roxanne then sent Nose Pass, and unfortunately, she's faster, so Beedrill faints. Well, this is a first. I've had a couple of runs where I've needed to fight trainers to get a couple more levels, but there has never been a time where I needed to fight more than just a couple, much less one where fighting everyone wasn't enough. That means that the only option Beedrill has is fighting wild Pokemon, which is going to bring that fight counter way higher. Let's hope that Beedrill won't need too many levels. 11 fights later, and Beedrill reaches level 17, alongside getting the move Pursuit. It's unfortunately both physical and low power, so I don't know if I'm ever going to use it, much less for Roxanne. The fight against her goes pretty much the same. Twin Needle still doesn't get her Nose Pass to half, nor is Beedrill able to take a Rock Tomb from her. Okay, I feel like I just need one more, and I'll be able to get enough damage on her that if I somehow land 3 attacks or get some crits and maybe a poison in between, I could have a small chance. Maybe. It takes me 16 more fights to level up, but now Nosepass is sometimes getting to half HP from Twin Needle. The issue is when I attack again. Because the move is in multi-hit 1, it gets her to eat her berry in between hits, turning her into a 3-shot steal. I could keep leveling up, but as I said before, I feel like it is possible now. Though it would need a lot of luck. I would need for either one of her Geodudes and Nosepass to miss 2 Rock Tombs between them, or for Nosepass to miss twice. Rock Tomb has a 20% chance of not landing, so by doing some math, it would come out as a 4% chance to miss twice, which is honestly not unrealistic. Now, if you had to guess how many attempts it took me for me to get that, how many would you say? 25? 50? 100? From the moment I got to level 18, it took me a total of 164 restarts. It was a 4% chance and I went 6 times over those odds. Dude, this is why I hated statistics in university. In the end, I actually got both of her Geodudes to miss Rock Tomb, which would usually mean a loss, but thanks to a turn 1 poison and Nosepass going for Harden instead of attacking, the damage was enough to defeat her. You want to know something funny? I'm pretty sure that this isn't going to be the hardest fight of the run. Moving on from that nightmare of a fight, the next challenge I have to face is both Broly and the rival, and I go for the former first. His matchup was pretty easy to get through, though it was only because I got extremely lucky with 2 consecutive 5-hit Fury attacks. His Meditite was also pretty easy thanks to being neutral to Bug, but unexpectedly, he went for a Reflect, so I'm going into his last Pokemon at a disadvantage. Last was Makuhita, and Fury Attack was doing close to no damage, even when I got a lot of high rolls, while he kept setting up pull caps to raise his attack and defense. I knew he would eventually start attacking, so I decided to switch to using Rage. And I was right with my prediction, as he started attacking as soon as I switched. Though thanks to Beedrill's typing and Makuhita only having fighting moves, even at +3, he couldn't do that much. Eventually, Makuhita got Beedrill on low HP, so I decided to swap back to using Fury Attack, and with the boost from Rage, a 2-hit was enough to defeat him. That was my first try at the fight, but it took way more luck than I was expecting. Before getting to the main fight, in one of the fights against some mandatory trainers, Beedrill reaches level 20, which allows him to learn Focus Energy. It's usually not that great of a move, especially in the earlier generations, but with multi-hit moves, it's actually a pretty useful one, as every hit from one of those attacks has an individual chance to crit. And with this ROM hack using the latest odds of getting a crit, a Focus Energy boost makes it so that instead of having a 4 chance to crit, Beedrill has a 50% chance. Anyways, against Mei, it took a few attempts due to her Wingull and Combusken having strong super effective moves against me, but eventually, I got the right amount of luck to get past Wingull at full HP thanks to poor move selection, and Combusken thanks to landing enough Fury attacks and getting some crits. As for Lombre, he is weak to Twin Needle, so it was no problem. The fight that comes after is Watson, and I am a bit worried. Mainly because his Manectric has given me lots of trouble on previous challenge runs I've done, and because his Magneton resists all of my moves. I fought a couple of trainers before that, getting Venoshock on the way, but it's a poison move, so I don't know how useful it's going to be. Even more so because the attack is a special one, and Beedrill's special attack is not great. I could also get Rock Smash for Magneton, but with it only having 20 base power, I don't think it's going to be worth it. Hey, while editing, I realized that I forgot that the move got buffed to having 40 base power, so it probably would have been better if I taught it to Beedrill. Oops. Watson fight. After setting up Focus Energy, Voltorb fainted easily thanks to getting 2 crits with Twin Needle. Against Manectric, he went for Howl at the start, while I got him to eat his berry. His Shockwave then did pretty decent damage, but thanks to getting 2 crits and a poison, Twin Needle got him to the red. Watson obviously went for the heal, and since I got the poison, I went for Venoshock, which does double the damage if the target has a status condition. I probably should have gone for Twin Needle though, as with the crit chance, I think that move did more damage. I say that because Manectric ended up being a 3-shot with Venoshock, racking up too much damage on Beedrill before fainting. After that is Magneton, but before that I leveled up, which allowed Beedrill to learn Assurance, which is a 60 base power Dark physical move, and I replaced Fury Attack. I used it against Magneton since Dark is neutral to Steel in this game, and with a crit it does pretty good damage. While I did that, he went for a Thunder Wave, but I gave Beedrill a parry beforehand for that. Another crit brings Magneton close to fainting, but this time the paralysis sticks, and he easily KOs me the next turn. I could have probably won if I used Needle instead of Venoshock, so I'm going to keep trying and see how it goes. It took me many attempts, but this time I get to Magneton with a bit more HP. I still get a crit at the start, and Magneton's Thunder Wave actually misses. I always forget he can do that. My second attack crits as well, but it gets into the red, so while I heal the paralysis with a parry, the next turn Watson also heals. I keep getting crits, bringing Magneton back to low HP, but Beedrill finally gets paralyzed. He manages to survive a shockwave and hit back, but Lassie's Electrike, he outspeeds and easily defeats me with a random attack. I really feel like I can win, I just need to get to Magneton with a bit more HP and a miss from Thunder Wave, which I should be able to do with a bit more crit luck. Though, one problem that I keep running into is that Voltorb isn't always a one-shot if I get a single crit. I have a possible solution to both problems though. If I head to Granite Cave with a Magpike, I can get access to a rare candy. It's the only one that I can get right now, excluding the one from the Trick House that requires fighting some trainers. It might not be much, but it should alleviate some of the pressure off of those fights, even if it's just a little. It takes me a ton of attempts still, but eventually I get a run where I get to Magneton with even more HP. It's very specific, but if the first two hits against him are a crit and a non-crit, that gets him just in range of being defeated by another critical hit without being in range of healing. Beedrill still gets paralyzed though, but with the extra HP, he goes into the Electrike a bit healthier, even more so after a level up. And it turns out it was enough, as he goes for Howl instead of attacking, so after managing to land an attack, I can finally put an end to this fight. Things don't get any easier though, as the next battle I have is against Matzy, and his Intimidate from Mightyena and Fire moves from Camerupt make me restart a couple of times. Thankfully, he didn't go for the best moves always, allowing me to get past him thanks to an attack boost from a swagger that Mightyena used, and Camerupt going for Amnesia instead of attacking. Beedrill also leveled up and tried to learn Toxic Spikes, and while I would really like to use the move, Beedrill is way too frail to take full advantage of it, so I ended up not learning it. The Flannery fight was after, and against Numel, my best move was Assurance, and it did around half to her while she went for a Sunny Day. Because of that, I easily made her faint the next turn. Torkoal came after, took no damage from the same move, and no-called me with an overhit. Like, what am I even supposed to say? Guess I'll fight all of the trainers and try every couple of levels. While I do the fights to level up, I want to put things into perspective. Right now, I'm not using speed up that much since I don't know what footage is going to be used and what isn't. But independent of that, I've reached the 7 hours of footage recorded. In comparison, the Butterfree run as a whole, so from the beginning to Steven, took me a bit over 7 hours. That's how awful Beedrill is doing. Let's look at the level up moveset and see if there's anything that seems useful. At 32 there's Spin Missile, which got buffed to 25 base power, so it's actually useful. Just not for this fight. At 35 there's Poison Jab. That one could actually work, as it's physical and 80 base power with a chance to poison the opponent. It's going to take a while, but maybe that's going to be the point at which I'll be able to win. As for the other moves, besides the last one, they don't seem that good. With Agility Speed Boost not being that useful when I'll probably be over-leveled and outspeeding most opponents, and Endeavor getting a Pokemon to the same HP as me, which on paper seems good, until you realize that since I'll be outspeeding, the only chance I'll get to use the move is when I'm close to being defeated, which would be followed by the opponent defeating me. I try after 29 battles and reaching the level at which Beedrill learns Poison Jab, and the results are somehow even worse. I still can defeat Numel on one hit, which is mostly due to her resistance to poison and bug moves. But the real problem is that now Flannery doesn't send Torkoal next, but Camerupt, who also resists poison and also has overhit. Since I can defeat Numel on one hit and that gives her the chance to set up the Sunny Day, the chances of Beedrill surviving a boosted hit from Camerupt are close to 0. Well, fighting all the trainers it is. I end up fighting almost every trainer that was available and end up reaching level 44. This is an important level for Beedrill, as it is the level at which he learns his last move via level up, and it's actually a really cool one. It's Fell Stinger, a 50 base power physical poke move. That might not seem that impressive, as the minimum damage from Beam Missile is the same, but the best part comes from its secondary effect, as if Beedrill uses the move to defeat an opponent, he will gain a +3 boost to attack. There's very few Pokemon that get this move, and even less moves that give a boost so huge to a single stat. With Numel being a 2-shot at level 35, I feel like this move will give Beedrill a pretty decent chance of winning now. Let's just ignore that it took almost 100 battles to get to this point. First attempt against Flannery after getting Fell Stinger, and I underestimated Beedrill's strength, as even though Poison Jab was resisted, it one-shots Numel. So there goes my chance at getting the boost. She sends Torkoal now for some reason, and Poison Jab is doing half to her while she goes for the Sunny Day. Since she doesn't have a berry, that means that I easily defeat her. Next was Camera Up though, and the move wasn't a one-shot this time. She goes for overheats, and it somehow doesn't KO Beedrill, even with the Sun Up. Because of that, I get the chance to defeat her. Last was Logma, but she obviously couldn't leave a single hit. Wow. I was trying to show off Fell Stinger in battle, but I guess Beedrill got tired of losing and decided that he didn't need it. Well, with how easy it went, I guess it should be a sweep for a while. Next was Norman, and lo and behold, it was a sweep. I defeated Spinda with Fell Stinger to get to show off the move, and with the boost, Beedrill was able to OHKO his entire team, including Slacking. With the 5th patch acquired, I also get access to Surf, and I decide to just head straight to the next gym, defeating both Team Aqua on the Weather Institute and the rival on the way. I might have a difficult time against Winona, but maybe not. So let's try and see what happens. Yeah, it was a sweep. After 2-shotting Swablu with Fell Stinger, most of her team was a one-shot, with the exception of Skarmory, who survived an Assurance, but only managed to land a Zen attack and keep healing before also falling to the power of +3 attack Beedrill. Matzi came after, and it was not that clean of a sweep this time. I really wanted to get the Fell Stinger boost for Camera Up, so it took a bit of time to defeat Mightyena. For the aforementioned Pokemon, Assurance wasn't able to get a one-shot, but he only went for Curse and healed with a Super Potion. As for Crobat, once again, Assurance didn't get the OHKO, but even more worrying, he outsped, even when Beedrill had an over 10 level difference. I still managed to defeat him, but it has me worried how even after getting Fell Stinger, it's not a free pass for every fight. And with how over half of the league has a Pokemon with Intimidate, I worry for how it's going to go against them. Now, while I go through all of the trainers inside of Ted and Liza's gym, which, let's be honest, they're never an issue, let's talk about Beedrill's TM Learn set. To be honest, there's not a lot. There's only a couple of physical moves that could maybe help Beedrill. Yes, I'm ignoring all special moves now that I have Fell Stinger. The only ones that give some coverage to him are Aerial Ace that I got from the Flying Gym and Brick Break, which is available after Ted and Liza. Looking at the types that Poison and Bug don't hit for neutral damage, Brick Break is the only one that could help, with Assurance being a good option for Ghost types. That setup could work for the league, but the priority now is the double battle against Ted and Liza, so let's do that one first. By the way, I know I could have taught him Return a while back, but as an added rule, I decided not to teach him any move that almost every Pokemon can learn, like Toxic, Double Team, or Rest. They just make every solo run look the same, so I think it's better if I just don't use them. Going into the Ted and Liza fight, I had to bring one of the Pokemon I was using for HMs to the battle since I was forced to. Now, I was really worried about this fight. Not only for the fact that it was a double battle, but also because of Beedrill's weakness to Psychic. However, thanks to landing a 2-hit Beam Missile at the start against Claydol, and both him and Satu targeting my HM Mon with attacks, I was able to use Fell Stinger to defeat Claydol and get the attack boost. Satu just used Sunny Day while they sent Lunatone, so I targeted the latter with Beam Missile since he was the strongest, and while he fainted, Satu used Coal Mine to get his own boost. Zorro came out, and I finally decided to defeat Satu, this time with Assurance. Sword Rock attacked with a boosted flamethrower, but it barely did anything to Beedrill, so I easily knocked him out the next turn with a pin missile. Really surprised to see how effortlessly Beedrill was able to win against Lady Lisa, especially with how much he struggled against Flannery. Even more surprising was that it was my first attempt. I had a lot of luck from their move choice, and a bit from pin missile, but even so, I was expecting something like needed to get to level 25 or something, not a first try sweep. Next was a double battle on the space station against Matsi and Tabitha with Steven, and I think for the first time in all of these type of challenges I've done, I had to restart. It was mainly because of Steven being useless during the fight and Matsi's Mighty Ena targeting Beedrill with really strong crunches, but after changing the strategy a bit, I was able to get past them. Also, I am not going to recount the fight since it's already difficult to do that for double battles, and because I already had to do that for Teddy and Liza. Last of the evil team fights is against Archie, and it was another fight that was surprisingly close. Granted, it was mostly because I didn't heal before the fight and because I tried to go for Fell Stinger at the start against Mighty Ena, which gave him the chance to use Scary Face to lower Beedrill's speed and use Embargo to prevent him from using his health Citrus Berry. But all of that allowed for Archie's Ace Torpedo to bring Beedrill to really low HP. Thankfully, Crobat always likes to start with Mean Look, so he was an easy 2-shot with Assurance. The final gym leader is Juan, and I had to restart a couple of times due to hitting myself in confusion after getting the Fell Stinger boost. But after I stopped trying to get it against the Love Disc and instead O-Core him, followed by getting the boost against Groudon, it was a pretty easy fight. The final fight before the league is Wally, and his Altaria at the start was a bit troublesome when my Poison Jab didn't get a one-shot, even with a crit, and he hit really hard with Aerial Ace. But then for some reason, he just went for Dragon Dance instead of doing more damage, so I easily finished him off. The Ace Carnivore was next, and since he's fairy in this game, a super effective Poison Jab got a one-shot. Magneton came out, and I forgot to teach Beedrill Brick Break. Assurance wasn't doing so great against him, and his Thunderbolt looked like he could defeat me in 3 hits, even when I had a Citrus Berry. Thankfully, Wally didn't have any potions, so I got him before he could defeat me. Delgari came after, and while Poison Jab didn't get a one-shot, he tried going for Sing, which fortunately didn't land, so I easily defeated him. Last was Roselia, but it was another easy KO. Okay, it has been pretty smooth sailing ever since Beedrill got Fell Stinger, but next is the Elite Four, and I'm a bit worried about how he's going to do, mainly because of Phoebe and Drake. Against Phoebe, she resists all of Beedrill's stab moves. I do have Assurance, but when 2 of her Pokemon have the ability Pressure, I'm not sure how well that's going to go. As for Drake, the main concern is that his starting Shell Gun has Rock Tomb to lower Beedrill's speed, and with the next Pokemon most probably being Salamence, which has both Intimidate and Rock Slide, I'm not sure if Beedrill is going to be able to get past him. Still, I do have most of the rare candies available in case I need them, so if I ever feel like I get stuck, I can use them to try and get out. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe, as I'm going to be doing this for a lot more Pokemon and that really helps me grow. First of the Elite Four is Sydney, and I don't think anyone was expecting for this to be a difficult fight. After getting the Fell Stinger boost from Absol, every single one of his Pokemon was a one-shot. Though I feel like I could have won even without it. Second of the Elite Four is Phoebe, and I had to restart a couple of times due to her first Dusclops going for Curse, but when she didn't go for it, I got an easy 2-shot with Assurance. Against the second Dusclops, Assurance was doing about half, while for some reason, she attacked with random moves instead of just going for Rock Slide. Though, thanks to her berry, a second Assurance got her in healing range. Even more worrying, Beedrill ran out of power points on Assurance. I had to use Poison Jab, and that got her to the red as she finally went for Rock Slide, leaving Beedrill with barely any HP left. However, since Dusclops was close to fainting, I took the chance and went for Fell Stinger, actually defeating her and getting the boost. Thanks to that, the rest of Phoebe's Pokemon were one-shot. Even when I was using moves, they resisted. Third of the Elite Four is Glacia. I finally taught Beedrill Brick Break, and it was doing good damage to her first Cilio as she went for Ice Ball. Since it left her on low HP, as always, I took the chance to get the Fell Stinger boost, and actually ended up getting it. Because of that, the rest of her team were all one-shots. Last of the Elite Four is Drake, and my fears came true. Poison Jab barely does half to Shell Gun, and he almost always starts with Rock Tomb, which then makes it impossible to get past his Salamence. Well, looks like it's time to pull out the rare candies. There's 17 of them throughout the Hoenn region, and only 2 are locked behind a trainer battle. I got one from the Trick House when I was training for Flannery, and I used one for Watson, so I gave myself 14 through the debug menu to give me a total of 15 rare candies to use. Since I could still need them for the final fight of the challenge, I decided to start slow and use 7 to raise Beedrill's level to 70, which should hopefully give me better odds. I tried again a couple of times, and on one of my attempts, I got Shell Gun low enough so that I could defeat him with Fell Stinger, though he did get the speed drop with Rock Tomb. Against Salamence, for some reason, he went for Dragon Claw, leaving Beedrill on the red. I don't know why he went for that, but it gave me the chance to KO him with Poison Jab. Next was Flygon though, and he outsped and defeated me. I was going to use the rest of the rare candies, but that's when I remembered that Rock Tomb has a chance to miss. So if I somehow manage to get the move to miss and the Fell Stinger boost, I might have a chance. It takes me some more attempts, but eventually I get the run. With that, Salamence was a one-shot with Poison Jab, Flygon was a one-shot with Pin Missile, Altaria was a one-shot with Poison Jab, and Kingdra was a one-shot with Poison Jab. Finally, it's the champion, Wallace. And to be honest, this one doesn't have me that worried. He starts with Wailord and Poison Jab gets him low on HP and poison as he goes for a double edge. He heals, but I go for the same move and get the poison again. This allows me to go for Fell Stinger and get the boost. After that, both Whiscash and Gyarados were one-shots. Tentacruel came out, and I forgot to teach Beedrill a move he didn't resist. I attack with Poison Jab, turning him to the red as he uses Hydro Pump for a surprisingly small amount of damage. We then went back and forth for a while until Wallace ran out of healing items. Following that, Milotic was a one-shot and Ludicolo was a one-shot. That went, honestly, way better than I imagined. I really thought that Drake and Phoebe would give me more trouble, but Assurance worked greatly against Phoebe, and against Drake, I just needed a couple of rare candies and a Rock Tomb miss. Now, as you probably know, the run is not over yet. There's still the secret post-game battle against Steven, which no doubt is going to be Beedrill's biggest challenge. To start, he has his Skarmory that double resists Bug and is immune to poison, so I need to go for Brick Break while being hit by Aerial Ace. Then there's Steven's Armaldo, who is neutral to all of my moves and has Ancient Power, who by the way, cannot get crit because of his ability. Then there's Aggron, who cannot get one-shot due to Sturdy, so while I could go for Brick Break for massive damage, he would hit back with a strong move as well. Finally, there's the ace Metagross, who is weak to Assurance, but can hit back with a super strong Psychic. I really see this fight going horribly, but I feel like with Fell Stinger, I could perhaps, maybe, possibly have a chance. I might need to get to level 100, however, with the league defeated, I can at least fight them to level up and not get the fight's counter through the roof. The moves that I decided for Steven was Spin Missile, Brick Break, Fell Stinger, and Focus Energy. I need to get the Fell Stinger boost, so I feel like if I use Focus Energy, that's going to increase my odds of getting it, alongside making it easier to defeat Skarmory. First try against Steven, and I set up the Focus Energy while Skarmory sets up some spikes. I then hit him with Brick Break, and even when I got a crit, it did barely any damage, while his Aerial Ace left me on the red. Let's try all of the rare candies and see how bad it goes there. I tried with the levels, and 3 Brick Breaks, with 2 of them being crits, left Skarmory on a third of his HP. Yeah, I'm gonna need to train. I went back to a save file that I made before using the rare candies, that way it takes less fights to level up, and challenged the league one more time, alongside doing the fights to get the last rare candy that was available. That in total gave Beedrill 6 levels, but even when I got 3 crit Brick Breaks against Skarmory, it wasn't enough to defeat him. It only left him on the red, while his Aerial Aces easily two-shotted me. Let's try getting to level 95, and that might allow 3 crits to make Beedrill get past Skarmory. I make 3 runs through the Elite Four, getting Beedrill to level 96, and like I predicted, getting 3 critical hits now defeated Skarmory. But just barely. I went into Metagross at only 19 HP, and Pin Missile was actually doing good damage if I got a crit. Unfortunately, I only got a 3 hit. not being able to KO him, and he went for Shadow Ball, and it left Beedrill with only 1 HP left. That was only because I had the Shell Bell equipped, but that gave me the chance to defeat Metagross with another Pin Missile. Armaldo was next, took like a quarter from Brick Break, and defeated me with Slash. I definitely should have gone with Fell Stinger instead of Pin Missile to finish off Metagross. But I think that even if I got the boost, it wasn't going to be enough to OHKO him. There's no other way. Let's try 100. I try, but the luck is just not lining up. I need for the first 2 hits against Skarmory to be a non-crit and a crit, followed by a crit, and then I need for Metagross to land just in range of being defeated by Fell Stinger and not healing. All of that while he also needs to use a random move, which needs to be Shadow Ball, and for that move to not make Beedrill faint. I tried for a while, but the problem is that even if I get that to happen, which I didn't by the way, I would need for Armaldo to be a one-shot, which I don't think he is. And even if I got that to happen, then I would need for Pin Missile to be enough to defeat Aggron, a move that he has a 4-time resistance against. That is just not happening. So yeah, Beedrill has no way of winning unless he gets an insane, unbelievable amount of luck. However, before putting an end to this run, I wanted to try one thing. See, the debug menu can be used to get items besides the Mega Stones or rare candies. For example, it can also be used to get hell items that are not supposed to be in the original Pokemon Emerald. One of those items is the Weakness Policy, an item that makes it so that if the Pokemon holding it gets hit by a super effective move, it gives them a +2 boost to both attack stats. I lose the recovery from the Shell Bell, but that might allow me to finally get past Metagross with Fell Stinger, putting Beedrill at +5 attack. It takes me many attempts with the item. But here's what needed to happen. Against Skarmory, I needed to get the Focus Energy and get him in healing range. That way, when I defeat him, Beedrill is in range of getting the Swarm boost on his Bug-type moves. For Metagross, even with those boosts, I needed to get a crit on Fell Stinger to defeat him and not get one-shot by one of his moves. Armaldo came next, and he was an easy one-shot, with the same happening to Claydol. Against Aggron, even at +5, I needed to get either 4 hits or 3 hits with a crit for him to be a one-shot. Finally, against Regilly, a simple Brick Break did the job. With that, Beedrill managed to get past Steven, only needing to do 252 fights, beating the League 6 extra times, getting to level 100, using all of the rare candies, even the ones that were locked behind trainer battles, 363 resets, and using an item that came out 3 games later. Jesus, was that a long run. Like, I think I did the Venusaur and Mega Venusaur runs combined in less time. It took so long to get past Roxanne, Watson, Flannery, and Steven. Not to mention that I even needed to use an item I wasn't supposed to get to defeat the last fight. But even with all of that, man was it a lot of fun once I got Fell Stinger. That move is so broken, and being able to just sweep Teddielisa with a single Beedrill was an incredible sight to see. Getting a +3 attack just by using a 50 base power stab move is something that a ton of Pokemon would wish to have. Though, I wish there was a way I could have taught him Swords Dance. It's available as a move tutor move in the Battle Frontier, but since it needs points in exchange, I decided not to use them. I probably would have still gone with Fell Stinger for most fights, but it might have made the Steven fight a bit more manageable. In conclusion, moves that boost an attacking stat by more than 2 stages are broken, and every Pokemon that gets one has a small chance at beating the game. But anyways, did I miss anything on the video? If you think so, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.